about 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic. I think many of us walked into 2022 with trepidation and nervousness. We were wary from having to isolate from friends and family, trying to navigate public health restrictions and living with the fear that someone we love will get infected, or even the pain, of losing someone who has. Now, how was it here at GW Community School? How are students feeling about back to school this year? We followed a student who sounded optimistic.
I'm Ava Whitridge, and I'm a senior in high school at GW. I love it so much. I came from public school, and the transition was like super easy. I mean, here you make friends with everybody so quickly. It's definitely communities in the name, and it's totally here in the school. It's very prominent. I mean, I made so many great friends here. I think a lot of people struggle in public school, and I was definitely one of those kids that didn't love it there. And this has just been like the most perfect, like there couldn't have been a better choice for me.
Now, if I should say, like 2 years into the COVID-19, right, the pandemic, and I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like, for many people, it looks like it could be some light at the end of the tunnel, as we say, right?
Yeah.
And some people are feeling optimistic. Some people are feeling like, if this thing might come back again. How is it for you coming back to school this year?
It feels a little bit different this year. I think that it kind of has gone back to normal mostly, but there's definitely still that like lingering sense of like you never know like what might happen now. But I think it was really hard back when we had COVID, and now, we've kind of adapted, and, things have slowly gone back to normal, and, you slowly started getting back into that normal routine, and trying to go back to what it was like before COVID. And everyone kind of has their own way of doing that. But here, everybody's kind of like slowly taking it like one step at a time to get back to normal and still be safe and take precautions, So I think everybody kind of handles it in their own way. But, as a community, I think that it's been a really big learning experience, and also just to, try to like figure it out and get back to normal a little bit,
But tell us a little bit about the precautions that GWCS take to assure that students are, can return safely to the school, and also teachers. Is the school telling you anything? Are they asking you guys anything? I mean, what are the precautions that they're taking in general that you know of?
Well, we definitely started off with a lot of schools were doing the whole everyone wear a mask, everyone stay 6 feet apart, or just being online and straight up just having no contact in person. But yeah, like I said, we're kind of going back to being a little bit more normal. So there's definitely if you're sick, if you have any symptoms, make sure you stay home. For a while we were doing in person and and a normal coming into school, but if you were sick or you weren't feeling well, they had online class options. But now that it's kind of gone back to normal, it's really just make sure you're taking care of yourself, and if you have these symptoms, make sure you take care of it and don't come into school and don't risk other people getting sick. But yeah, for the most part, it's gone back to normal, but there's still, making sure, you're doing the simple things like washing your hands, keeping surfaces clean. And, teachers have definitely been good and very mindful of that. I think a lot of teachers have taken the time to really clean and, make sure that you keep that space cleanliness, so everybody has kind of chipped in a little bit and doing that. But other than that, it's kind of gone back to normal for the most part, which is, I think, wonderful. But, now we're a little bit more mindful about, keeping things clean and being safe. So I think it was a good reminder, as hard as COVID was for some people, I think it was a good reminder, to really stay safe and, to make sure that, you're keeping yourself clean and healthy. So yeah, I think it's a good reminder.
So apparently yourself, you had COVID, right? And you had to be at home for a while, and I think you were taking class remotely, I think. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that happen, and what was your experience there?
So when COVID first started, I was back at public school, and we were online, and that was super hard. There's so many kids on an online classroom. That's a huge struggle. Nobody really did well. you know, it's hard to, you know, be like change from going every day into school and, you know, and seeing everybody and, you know, and then just all of a sudden you're online and you have like nobody, like you can't, it's like hard to reach out, you know. So that definitely complicated things. But then here it was definitely like it was different. And when I actually had COVID, I was here and it was so wonderful. I mean, they handled it greatly. You know, even though I was online and it did make things a little bit harder, you know, just having that like already that like relationship with my teachers to be able to reach out to them and like if I had questions, you know, like I think it's interesting having that like public school online, like how they handle COVID and then having the private school, you know, and see how that was handled here. So it was cool to like kind of have both and see how they both handled it differently. But when I had COVID, you know, they were really focused on me getting better and it wasn't so much of like, you know, like, oh, you're not doing your work. It was like, you know, we want you to get better and feel better and then, you know, and then you can go back to your like your normal life and like and making sure that you're on top of your work. And they were so, you know, helpful and accommodating with that, you know, making sure that like when I came back, you know, making sure I didn't have any questions or, you know, helping with anything that I couldn't do online. So that was really great and they were super helpful with that.
Wow. Wow. What do you like the most about GW?
There's so many things. It's kind of hard to pick. You know, I think honestly, like I know I've said it a million times, but really the community, I think, like I said, you know, public school, it was kind of always a struggle. There's just so many people. It's really hard to, you know, to get to know like everybody. I mean, that's just like physically impossible. You know, there's thousands of people. You can't get to know everybody. But like here, you know, it's so much like easier to find your place. You know, everyone's so welcoming and like, and you know, like you can feel like kind of like a little bit of an outcast or you don't have like a lot of things in common with people, but you always are welcome here. And I think that's something that's so special and that you can't really find anywhere else. You know, like just being able to talk to like the head of the school, like that sounds like something that should be so like nerve-wracking and stuff, but like I'm best friends with my like all my teachers, like all of them are my friends, and like and the fact that I can even say that is crazy, because if you would have told me like, you know, 3 years ago, like you're gonna love school, you're gonna look forward to it, you're gonna love your teachers, I've been like, you're literally crazy, like you're losing your mind. Because you know it really is wonderful and it's something unlike anything I've ever experienced before. You know, just having that community and having those people are just like that's so crucial in life. And I can tell that this is gonna, you know, all the friends I've made here, like that's not normal and it's wonderful. Like, you know, that's like crazy. I'm so lucky to be here and have so many wonderful people surrounding me every day.
Wow. Wow. Eva, what do you want to do after GW when you go to college, which is probably what 2 years, a year maybe?
Yeah.
Like what do you want to do in college after here?
So I'm a senior this year, so I really have to, you know, start getting that all like situated. I have a lot of, you know, interests and stuff, but definitely like marketing has always really been super interesting to me. So probably like something along like that area. I just always like business is super interesting and like the way it works and all like, and you know, like marketing is so crazy. It's kind of like a psychological, like, you know, you kind of have, there's so many layers to it and there's so many different, you know, areas or ways it can be done. So it's not very like, it's not a very niche thing. So that's why I think it's super interesting. It gives you options, you know, so that way, like, you know, when I go to school, I think that will be so interesting. I took like marketing classes before and that's always been so cool to me. And I'm like everyone's always like, I want to do business, but like that's so like broad. But I just think marketing is so interesting to me. And again, that's still pretty broad, but, but you know, I think that's so cool. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's something I would really like to do. And then as far as like, you know, GW in the future, I'd still love to like come back and, you know, and like see some people maybe like teach marketing here. That'd be cool. Like, you know, there's so many different things. There's so many options. So I don't want to I don't want to put myself in a box of like things I want to do. I don't want to set some expectations for myself. But, you know, but I think, you know, what happens, happens. But I definitely want to, you know, I have some things I want to explore and, you know, and see and do to make sure I do what I love and that I found what I love before I really commit. But yeah.
Right. And do you feel like GW prepare you to, you know, well to be able to do marketing in college? And you know, when you answer that, also tell us what's your favorite class here at GW Community School?
Yeah, they definitely prepare you. I mean, they kind of prepare you just for life in general. I mean, like again, like I keep comparing it to like, you know, my old schools and everything. But, you know, like they prepare you kind of like a little bit, you know, here and there. But, you know, like But here, you know, you really get the experience. You get to experience the freedom, which I think is like huge. Just having, like, you know, teachers that really trust you and like, you know, don't treat you like a kid all the time is so big. Because I think a lot of people, you know, they get to college and they're like, oh my God, like I'm getting treated like an adult. I have to do adult things. And, you know, just being kind of pushed into that is really unsettling and hard, and you have to learn to do it by yourself. But here, you know, everybody's like, you know, they're here for you. They're here to help you, and and they definitely do prepare you. I mean, just like giving you freedom, and they give you freedom and like in your work and actually like going out and doing things in the world, and you know, they're still there for you like every step of the way at the same time, but they let you, you know, they let you fly. They let you do your own thing. And but they're at the end of the day, they're always still there for you, which I think is huge. Just having that, you know, that freedom to learn from your mistakes before you actually make them, and it's, you know, life altering. You know, I think that's crucial, because I think a lot of people would get scared and they're like, oh my God, like, because when you're pushed into it, you don't know what to expect. But you know, it's great here that, you know, you can make mistakes and you can learn from them, and that's not something that's scary. That's something that's exciting here. You know. So yeah, I'd say definitely just the freedom is huge.
Wow, it's huge. And what's your favorite class?
I definitely love English. I think English has kind of been, again, going along with the freedom, just like, you know, writing about stuff that I like and things that interest me and things I care about was like, you know, crazy, because back, you know, at other places, like, you know, they're just like, oh, just read a book and answer questions. Like that's helpful to learn how to study maybe, but not, you know, like as far as like, you know, learning things like about yourself. And, you know, I think like writing is like such a huge deal to me, you know, because you get to really explore your own mind. And, you know, I think just having that connection with yourself, being able to sit down and, you know, write and have like essentially like a conversation with yourself, you know, I think is so special. And you know, so I love English, and they're always, you know, they're so helpful. Like, you know, you can be like, oh, like I really am interested in this. I kind of want to write about this. Like, they're always going to be there for you to accommodate that, which I think is so cool. And I've never seen another school do anything like that.
Right. And my last question would probably be, we'll talk about, you know, back to school, you know, this year, and what do you think that as the school and schools in general and GW in particular, right? What do you think we've learned from the past, and or you've learned personally with that experience of COVID-19?
I think definitely like the obvious things like safety, you know, just like learning that, you know, keeping things clean is huge, and, you know, and making sure that kids are like really taking care of themselves, because, you know, I think school is so like, you know, there's kids that I've had so many friends be like, I'm so sick, but like I can't afford to miss a day of school. Like that sets you back like 2 weeks, you know, that's awful. Like I'd rather just go to school sick. And I think, you know, that's crazy. Like, you know, you should take care of yourself. Your health comes first. So I think that that's kind of been like a little bit of a wake up call for some people. So I'd say that's definitely huge, but also just like it's been like cool to have different learning experiences. Like I think a lot of people learn online school is not for them, which is good, because when I didn't want to go to my public school anymore, I was kind of looking at that option, and I'm really glad that I kind of had that experience of online school, so I could be like, you know, that doesn't really work for me. And you kind of learn a lot about yourself, and like when you're like alone with yourself all the time. I mean, during COVID, you couldn't see anyone. So I think a lot of people have really had like this newfound like self-discovery, which I think is great. So I would say like everyone's learned something about themselves, and they've learned, you know, something about like staying safe. And, you know, especially with like school, like I think learning, you know, you learn a lot about yourself when you're alone with yourself, and when you have to teach yourself school or you're online and you don't have like, you know, what you're used to. It's really interesting to see how people have like responded to that. And, you know, some people it works better for them, and some people are like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like, you know, it's hard to do it alone. So I think, you know, people having that experience is like, it's been great for some people. And, you know, it's definitely been hard and it's been a challenge, but I mean, you gotta have a challenge every once in a while, right?
That's right. Hey, you got to. So tell us, just to close this interview, right? Tell us, Ava. So would you say that back to school this year is positive, and you were impatient to get back to school, right?
It's definitely different, you know, like having everything feel at least like, you know, just a step in the normal direction has been great. So, you know, just being able to like see your friends in person again has been huge. So I'd say, I mean, like even for like mental health, like a lot of people, you know, not being able to see other people has been so hard. So I think, you know, getting back in the right direction, oh yeah, it's great. And I've looked forward for this year for so long. I mean, obviously I'm a senior, it's a big year. But, you know, but also just, you know, I'm so eager to get back. I love the school, it's so great. And like I know that's like a lot of people are like, oh sure, like, you know, how great can school be? But like I'm really not sugarcoating it when I say I love it here. I mean, like I look forward to coming to school every day, and I think that's, again, that's something so special and so unique. And so yeah, I think it's great, and I think that, you know, this year is going to be a lot different, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays this way, and you know, and everyone stays safe. So yeah, I'd say this year is going to be a good one, hopefully. Knock on wood.
Thank you so much, Ava, for the time that you
Of
had.
course, thank you.
You're great. You're awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Unless you hide them.
Actually, you can keep them in here because I'm going to class.
No. Oh, maybe.
Hi guys.
For many of these GWCS students, it's awesome to start a new school year and see everybody with their big back to school smiles, ready to go, ready to learn. And teachers here seem to have been working very hard to prepare just for that. And as you heard Eva, beside providing a safe learning environment, they welcome them with a smile and make them feel right at home in their classrooms. Roger Moon to VOA, Virginia.